Hi everyone, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your weekly report for July 27th, 2021. Today Mercury, which is the planet of communication, entered the fixed fire sign of Leo, where it will be until August 11th, when it enters the sign of Virgo. And when Mercury is transiting in Leo, it's very good for feeling passionate about your ideas. It's very good for creative thinking and feeling, infused with passion, so that's a good thing. And let's see, it's a very emotional time though, and that's really what I wanted to address this week. I'll talk about some of the aspects, but I want to address Jupiter in Pisces, what we've been experiencing recently, because in the past week I noticed a lot of sad events occur. Eris, which is the goddess of discord, stationed retrograde at 24 degrees and 47 minutes of the cardinal fire sign of Aries. And Eris has been in combat with Pluto, which is the planet of death and regeneration, on and off since January of 2020. And they will fight one another, again at the end of August, on the 27th of August, and on October 9th. So that can bring cranky, irritable energy. But the thing that I've been focused on is that Jupiter, which is just about to change signs, and it loves being in Pisces, and I was really excited to see it enter Pisces, because in my studies of astrology, I have never seen Jupiter transit an entire sign and then briefly enter the next sign, for a few months. And that is what I'm getting all choked up, obviously. That's what we've all experienced. And so Jupiter expands whatever it comes into contact with. And even though it loves being in Pisces, Pisces rules the imagination, and it's very creative, and it represents how we connect to our empathy and compassion and spirituality. And again, Jupiter can expand all of these things, but it also, Pisces is a very sensitive, mutable water sign that, where Neptune itself is transiting. So right now, Jupiter is where Neptune has been transiting in the mutable water sign of Pisces on and off since 2011. And that's the modern ruler of Pisces. That's what most people equate with the sign of Pisces. Neptune, the ocean, the creativity, but also the kind of mysterious and sometimes delusional or confusing energy of Pisces. And Neptune entered in April of 2011, and it was there until August of 2011, and then it re-entered Pisces in February of 2012. And it's been there ever since. And I remember when Neptune initially entered the sign of Pisces, there were a lot of planets transiting. At that time, Chiron, which is the wounded healer, was still transiting in the sign of Pisces. And I remember there was, I think it might have been 2013, maybe 2012. It was that March, there were several planets in Pisces. And I know a nurse that's a client that works in an emergency ward, and at that time they could not find enough room in the hospital for all of the psych patients, whether it was people that were overdosing or suicidal. And Pisces can really be where we feel very vulnerable, and Jupiter, although very beautiful and creative with this energy, can also expand our fears, our feeling of uncertainty. Think of it, the ocean is boundless, and right now, unlike last year with the heavy Capricorn energy, which is all about structure, this is, Pisces is a boundless sign, the most of all, I think. And Jupiter transiting there is making people, in some cases, feel lost at sea. And I came across a story on Friday, and this is a hard subject to broach, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I read of a yet another suicide in Manhattan, in my old neighborhood, in a high-rise just 2 blocks away from where I lived for 15 years, in a big building at the top of 44 flights. A woman, jumped to her death with her dog, and obviously felt very despondent. And it's a very sad story. And I know that people commit suicide every day. And I know over the weekend there were also quite a bit of really big drunk driving accidents in New York. I'm just giving that radius, but that were pretty deadly. And again, Neptune can also represent the desire to want to escape. And I think a lot of people right now are feeling despondent and feeling lost. And Jupiter re-enters the fixed air sign of Aquarius on July 28th, which is tomorrow, at 8:43 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will be in Aquarius until December 29th, when it re-enters the mutable water sign of Pisces. And it's going to be in Pisces on and off through the end of 2022. And it can really expand the magic. It's great for the creatives out there, the musicians, the artists, the empaths. It can be incredible. I think it can help to bring a creative renaissance. And yet I also feel that we really all need to focus more and more on mental health. And with Jupiter re-entering Aquarius, which is so focused on community and connecting, and in a world where we feel more alienated than ever, Saturn is demanding each of us find a way to come together. I have to say, I know the stars impel. They compel, what is the expression? I don't remember right now, but they don't make you do something, but sometimes they bring up lessons you have to deal with, and you can co-create with it. So I think it is essential that each of us finds ways to tap more into finding a way to build community and centering ourselves in an uncertain time. Aquarius is brilliant. It represents fixed change and rapid change and innovation and technology. And realistically, there is going to be a digital revolution that's happening more and more, but that also can produce more alienation. So while we can create more jobs and ways for people to connect that are experiencing depression and anxiety, that are afraid to get out there right now because we've been dealing with this uncertain time and this crazy time in history for a long time now. And I know it's getting to me, and I'm sure it's getting to all of you. We need to find ways to build support structures and systems. And I think with Jupiter re-entering Aquarius, that's as important as focusing on new ways of learning and innovating, because if we don't have community, we won't get through this. And I will, find links and other things to put up later for suicide awareness. And, I look up different things, and I wish there were more resources, and maybe I'm missing it. And if other people know of really good, I'm wondering if there's some kind of a hotline where people can connect that are not suicidal but are dealing with this time in history that really is really difficult and need to talk, and maybe staying up in the middle of the night and need to talk to somebody. If there are outlets like that available to the public right now where people are volunteering, because I know many people feel fearful of calling a suicide hotline if they're not definitively suicidal, because they don't want to be checked into something, but people may need help and want to reach out. So it's just something I want to put out there. And Jupiter is re-entering Aquarius tomorrow, and for all of us, it's expanding our connections. If you're looking for a job, it's networking, it's building community, as I mentioned, it's finding your tribe. Aquarius rules astrology, among other things, metaphysics, alternative ways of thinking and learning, and it's exciting, so it brings us a lot of opportunities, but it's also a very unpredictable sign. The modern ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, which is brilliance and chaos. And so we can tap into the brilliance, and we're inevitably also dealing with the chaos. And so that's the deal. But we feel the shift right now, and I think the full moon on Friday was particularly difficult because the full moon was at 1 degree and 26 minutes of the fixed air sign of Aquarius, where Saturn got to last year from March 23rd until July 1st. And so it was speaking back to when all of us really were dealing with the distancing and the alienation. And Jupiter right now is setting off where Neptune was both in 2011 and in 2012, and it's expanding magic, but right now for many it could be expanding the fears. So we want to work with tapping into ways to make us feel more hopeful. And with Jupiter and Aquarius, and again finding ways to learn and connect that can make you feel more hopeful, you know. So again, I think that's really essential. And on July 29th, Mars opposes Jupiter at 11:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Mars will be at Regulus, the royal fixed star Regulus, which is 29 degrees of the fixed fire sign of Leo. And that is a very special royal fixed star where it's known as the Kingmaker and the Queenmaker. And in this case, it's also setting off where the solar eclipse was on August 21st of 2018. So maybe things get brought up from that story. But then Mars enters the mutable Earth Virgo on on July 29th, where it will be until September 15th. So Mars in Virgo is very hardworking, and it's a new 2-year cycle for Virgos out there for really getting things accomplished. Venus is also transiting in your sign, but for all of us, it's good about taking action to deal with nutrition and health and getting organized and getting accomplished. But in this time, I think health is also a very big theme for all of us, really making sure we stay healthy, and Mars in Virgo is useful for that. And then on, on July 29th, the moon enters the fixed earth sign of Taurus at 4:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will be in Taurus over the weekend. It's going to square several planets over, the course of the weekend. It will square Mercury and Saturn and the Sun, but it also trines Venus. And on August 1st, Mercury and the Sun meet up at 10:08 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now, that can be where it can be subjective thinking, and you think you're right, and you see things your way, but it also could be really good for coming up with excellent creative ideas. I actually do like that energy. Later that day on the 1st, 5:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Mercury opposes Saturn. And that could be good for getting hard work done that requires a lot of patience, but it also could be challenges in communication, delays in travel, or arguments. So knowing that it could restrict communication. But if you have something you need to do with Venus, which is transiting in the mutable earth sign of Virgo, very detail oriented, it is technically in its fall position, so it's not in the best position in Virgo, but it's very good for attention to detail. Mars will now be in the sign of Virgo, getting things done in a very detailed way, and so see how you can use that energy. on the 1st. But this week is tough. You know, Jupiter re-entering Aquarius will bring us a lot of opportunities, and Jupiter will station retrograde on October 18th at 22 degrees of Aquarius. So it'll go back as far as 22 degrees. But right now it's in Pisces, very emotional. Could be departures for people, could be just heavy sensitivity right now. Maybe you've been feeling a bit tired the last couple of days, low energy. That makes sense. Pisces rules dreams. Do manifesting work, get rest, watch Netflix, do whatever it is for you. And I wish you a lot of luck, and thank you very much.